Welcome back to the Discover You Summit. I'm your host, Amy Sanders, and we are going from stuck to thriving in 21 days. And I am very honored to introduce you to Dr Haisha today. She is a life coach. She's an author. She's traveled the world. So she's spoken in front of like tons of people. And then she's been really intimate in yurts. She has a big heart. She does a lot of humanitarian things. And basically, you're kind of a big deal, Lisa. You're kind of a big deal. And so we are honored to have her here. And today we're going to speak on something that's a little bit different. A lot of us associate wealth with money. Like if you're wealthy, then that means you have a lot of money. And that might be true. But wealth is more of like a state of mind. It's more of a state of mind. And it's not just about money. It's about your life having wealth within it. And I think this is a really cool topic because a lot of people don't see it that way, or they just aren't aware of that. So Lisa, can you tell us more about you and about the direction of how we're taking this day today?
Well, I think this is like such an interesting topic because I think people are suffering so much right now. You know, there's 130 million babies born globally in the world every day, and we each arrive with this personalized soul code. And we all have different circumstances, socially, economically, culturally. There's no two souls alike. So
Right.
we don't come into this world saying, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable. We're just being, we're soaking in the moment, we're taking in our surroundings, we're looking at the people who are, taking care of us, either they're abusive or loving, and we're taking that in and start creating our emotional wounds, or our strengths of I'm lovable and I'm good enough. And then we take all that and we pack it. It starts at your little suitcase of injuries or wounds. Oh, this happened. We take it with us for the rest of our lives, So whatever you're doing, you're like, oh, when I was, even if you don't remember, because I think a lot of it's subconscious, it was like, oh, I was neglected. Nobody was there for me. Or I was a latchkey kid or whatever it was. So when we're talking about happiness, I don't believe in the pursuit of happiness because I think especially external happiness, I've had a lot of external happiness if you want to look at my life as a whole, because I've been blessed with able to travel to over 60 countries, probably pushing 80, and over 100 cities within those countries. And I've had good health. I've had a wonderful marriage. I had a wonderful, my parents were very strict, my dad, but, a good roof over our head and loving parents. So, I mean, if you look at all the basics I had, but when you go deeper, when you look at that and through all my travels, I'm with a lot of wealthy people here. I've coached and worked with millionaires, billionaires. I've worked with probably over 100 big celebrities and movers and shakers all over the world, and also with tribes. Like I worked with families, Bedouin tribes, like husbands with 5 wives. I worked in the city of the dead, in Egypt, where these people just created their own like city in a cemetery and used coffins as their coffee tables and built these makeshift houses. I stayed there for a week to see how they live. I mean, everywhere. I could go on and on. I've had soul journeys, ayahuasca journeys, mushroom journeys with top shamans, with Ram Dass and all these big spiritual healers. I mean, I've been there, done that. But inner peace, I found the happiest people were the ones leading the simplest lives, the ones that were living on dirt floors with family, with connection, with community. It all boiled down to who do you love and who loves you. And nobody loves you, or 1 or 2 people, you don't feel it, or you don't have the capacity to love back because you're so scared of it because you were rejected so many times as a baby. That could ruin your whole life. It doesn't matter if you have a $1 million home and money in the bank and you're good looking, you have a good job. It's all those people are on my couch or in therapy or in rehab centers because they almost have too much and they didn't work on their inner demons.
Wow. So powerful that you can have a broke person that's, has nothing, but technically they have everything because they have real true happiness, right? And then the person that everyone is like man, look at that celebrity. They have it all.
Yes.
Truly, they feel empty inside
Yes.
because of those inner demons. That suitcase is still all packed up.
Yes.
Wow. So what have you found when it comes to just like having this like wealthy lifestyle, meaning it's full and like, I'm with you that I'm like, happiness is a great thing, but people strive to be happy all the time, right? But I'm like, no, it's not just happiness. It's full. It's like abundant. It's not just that we're happy, you know, like that's a good thing.
Yes.
But you know, it's having more.
Yeah, happiness is superficial and it is great in the moment. You're at this concert, you're with your friends and you're singing along and yeah, you're happy. Wow, I'm so happy. You go out and have drinks. I'm so happy. Then you go home and go to bed and just go, oh, right, there's me again. And that's when all the demons come in 2 a.m. Ha ha ha, you're little saboteurs. You're not happy. You're worthless. You're fat. You're not smart enough. Everyone else is better than you. Look what that person wore. Look what that person's job is. And you start comparing and contrasting yourself with other people. And then you wake up and go, oh my God, you're either paralyzed with fear or I'm not good enough and don't accomplish your day. You don't do your to-do list, or you overachieve to make up for all of that. And then you're miserable because you don't make time to be loved and to love. You don't make time to make deep connections. You may have a lot of superficial connections, but not the deep connections that really matter. So I recommend people really take the time to write down, who do they love? Who would be there for them if something happened? And write those people down. And most people will look at that and say, those are the people I'm least there for, because you're too busy networking and trying to get the love of people who don't love you, or people that can move your career forward because you think I've got to be more successful and make more money because more people will love me, more people will respect me. So you don't give the time to those people. I've worked with so many people, you know, top producers. You know, my husband, you know, co-created 2.5 Men, Big Bang Theory, and I went to all the Emmys, Oscars, all this. I was in the writer's room. I had a lot of clients through all those connections, and I worked on the top movies. I mean, everything. And most of those people, when I say what's really going on, they just said, oh, my wife or my husband always thinks I'm neglecting them. They don't understand how busy my work is or what my life is like, or my kids, you know, I feel like I'm being a bad parent, and they giggle a little, you know, but it's our job. They'll understand, or I'll get around to them later. You can't get around to them later. Those years are missed, and you have not taken the time to help shape them and give them the tools or security they need for both parents to love and honor them. But it's like, but my career, and I'm going to make more money and give them more toys when they're older. I met with this woman in Iraq, like this 80-year-old woman. And she was sort of a relative. My dad's from Baghdad, Iraq. So I went there to find my roots. That's a whole nother story if we have time for that. But when I went there, after working in Hollywood for a couple of years, and I said, this isn't for me, I can't do the business side, too many Me Too stuff, too many this, it just didn't work coming from a really strict Middle Eastern background. So I said, you know, I'm going to go to Iraq to find my roots. And I went there, and this woman who's like a cousin of a cousin of a cousin of a grandmother, she said, it's not the presents you give someone, as in gifts, it's the presence, which is the biggest gift. So being present, and if you could be present, that's the biggest gift you could give anybody you love, because that's where the magic is. That's where the growth comes for yourself and for others. Everything else is a distraction. It's superficial, and it means nothing at the end of the day. So that's how I started to create the Imposters. I have this imposter model that I created, you know, after Iraq. I decided to, you know, I was traveling all over. I thought, okay, I'm super street smart now. And I've been there, done that. So now what else can I do? I decided to get a master's in psychology because I already had a BA. And through that, our second year, they said, create a type of therapy. It was just an exercise. So I started working on this, and then it kept growing and growing. So since about 2005, I've been working on it. It's the imposter model. And they're archetypes that we develop to protect ourselves from insecurities and wounds that we experienced during our childhoods. And they live on our psyches like the masks we wear on our face for so long, and we start to identify with the falsehoods that they represent. You know, I say, think of the stage of your brain. They're living up there making decisions for you and speaking for you, because that's where your fear is. Your imposters are like that, and they feed on your insecurities, and they often manifest as emotional obstacles and patterns we unconsciously develop to protect ourselves. But they rarely protect us, and they make situations worse because they're coming from fear, not love. Imposters could be our biggest saboteurs, but they can also be superpowers if you harness them. So what I do, which is what soul blazing is I try to help you look at these imposters and say, okay, here's the demon that's coming up. And the imposters to me are the voices in your head. And I want you to name those imposters. And then, you know, I do a exercise called, you know, your soul blazing family. So who is your like imposter family? So if you say, God, I'm not lovable, go back and go, where did that wound start? Who first gave me that? And put their name down. Then what did that make you feel like? So what created that? And then give that imposter a name. So then when that voice comes out, I equate it with like, I have this photo of a yarn head that I saw, this really artistic piece with a big, like a beehive of different colors of yarn tied in this woman's head. And I equate it with that because it made sense with the imposters. If you took that down and you unstranded the yellow, the blue, the red, the green, all these are your different imposters and your different issues. But when they're all there, it's stifling and it holds you back from deep relationships or success, whatever it is. So if you put them one by one and go, okay, here's one imposter. It was created from this at this time. What can I do to start softening that voice and empowering it? Then I have you make a deal with that imposter. You know, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you, because we need each other, because your adult self needs your inner child. Then you go to the next one. How many kids do you have in there? I mean, okay, what was your issue and who did that to you? And then you start naming them and go, oh, okay, you need this. You never felt love, so you need major love. So how can I give you love? Then I'll take bubble baths. I'll go to the spa. I will meditate. I'll do stuff that'll feed that little girl that didn't get what she wanted. And same with whatever it is. And then once you start building that relationship, and when the voice comes, you say, I caught you there. Then I keep a journal and I write the imposter's name and then authentic soul, because your authentic soul is what I just shared in the beginning, the seed, you know, our soul's code that we came in here to be, and the imposters sabotage you from getting there. You could either go on the path of your soul's code, or you get off track because of all these distractions and you never live up to your full potential because you keep getting sidelined by these imposters. So make a deal with them. And once you become clear who they are, your whole life shifts, because now you're in partnership instead of fighting. And it's just like a relationship. If you're always fighting with your spouse or your parents or whoever, your kids, find where can we come together, and let's build from that core and then spread out from there.
I love it. Make a deal with them.
Yes.
They're still gonna be here. So let's like make a deal with them. You make a deal all the time with other people. Why not your imposters?
Yeah, some really big thought leaders that I really admire disagree with me. And we've had that discussion. They said, oh no, you could just get rid of them. Do you just say these things and do whatever and you could get rid of them? I don't believe that, because I've been on this journey for like 30 years and I have not been able to get rid of mine. And I've done everything. I've done any spiritual thing you could do. And I think they're just, you know, they're on the ride with you. You know, you picked them up along the ride. So I think you have to make a deal, unless maybe you meditate for 10 years straight and never talk to a human, then maybe you could get rid of it. But I don't think any of us has time for that. I think deep self-growth, it's almost like ayahuasca. If you do ayahuasca, it's probably like a year of meditation. You know, you get so many ahas. And I think to really rid yourself of your imposters or those negative thoughts in your head, it's like a 10-year meditation and really going into an ashram and just, this is it for 10 years so I could just be at peace. And that's a lot of training. I don't think anyone has time for that. But the ultimate goal is to align your personality, which is your imposters, with your authentic soul in a deep, soulful fashion, and ultimately live with a sense of clear purpose. And when you do that, that's when your life works, because each imposter has negative aspects that impede you from living your authentic soul. And each also has positive qualities. So that's your superpower. So the goal is to abolish the imposters from your life, but to actually learn and leverage the positive aspects of your dominant one. For example, I went to an audition. This was before I created the imposter model, but it's funny because I did this before creating, and that's how it actually came to be. After working with over 100 people and myself, I went, oh my God, this is what's happening. And call them, instead of it's just negative voices in your head, these are imposters because they're, falsehoods. And I worked with a couple of schizophrenic people while getting my degree, and they were telling me about all these different personalities. I'm like, oh wow, that's very similar. But that's to the extreme. Most people aren't that extreme, but we still have it. To me, that's what negative voices are. It's someone else in your head telling you stuff that does not serve you. So I went to this audition. It was one of my very first auditions when I moved to LA for Teriyaki Burger. And I gave them my headshot, and it was an open call from 9 to 5. So I was one of the first people there. And I went there and I said, here you go. And I just went there to be liked. And all my imposters were out saying, oh my God, who do you think you are? You never took a commercial class. You never did this. You don't belong here. There's like 500 people. You're never going to get it. And so I did the audition and went through the whole process. Then they said, oh, thank you very much for coming in. And I said, oh, do you want me to do something different? They said, no. And when they say that, that means you suck, leave, get out of here. We never want to see you again. I'm like, oh my God, I totally blew it. And I went home, of course, beating myself up. Here was a $25,000 job, a national commercial, and I blew it because I felt I wasn't good enough. I allowed the imposters at that time to do that to me, not knowing the languaging. Yeah. So by midday, I thought about it and I thought, I'm going to go back. It's from 9 to 5. And I talked to myself in the mirror of, you're good enough, you can do this, and gave myself a pep talk. I changed my clothes to different outfits, changed my hairstyle. You usually have 2 headshots, a casual and a more formal. So I took the second one and I went in and they looked at me and they said, oh, you look so familiar. And I said, oh, I work all the time. Probably seen me on something. And I knew exactly what to do and I knew what I did wrong. So I did it and they said, oh, you're really good. And I said, oh, thank you. And then one of the casting people were flipping through photos. She said, wait, is this you? And I went, oh my God, I have a twin sister. Did she come in? She's terrible. Oh my God. And so they said, oh my God, she was. And I said, oh no, I've studied and I went to Strasbourg and I did this and that. We're very different. She said, yeah. By the time I got home, I had the job. It was a recording on a machine. You booked the job. And that's the power of using the superpower of the imposters. And I discovered 7 of them. There's the victim, the fixer, the judge, the clown, the seductor, and the overthinker. So I was going in with the victim and the overthinker, and I brought in my seductor and my egoist, imposter, like my narcissist. And I'm the one, and, I'm going to just do great and seduce them with, oh, I'm wonderful. And I'm, so bringing them in, who is this person? So that's using your superpowers to your advantage, instead of to your disadvantage. Once you get to know them and bond with them and say, okay, we're in this together. We both want the ultimate goal of living our best life and achieving what we want to achieve in life in the easiest way, or at least the most peaceful way. And I found so many people that it has changed their lives. If you go to my website and listen to a reel, I just put like 10 people together on a thing. You could go to YouTube and see 200 more testimonies, but mostly it's once I named the imposter and did these exercises that I do, your whole life shifts, because it gives you, it's not just a mental thing. It is a action oriented thing where you actually do exercises. Then when you come to the workshops, we do, since I have a huge acting background and I teach actors in Berlin, here, whatever, but how to be authentically you, because if you're not authentically you, it doesn't matter what skill you have, you're not going to be good. So I do a who, what, where. That's a big improv game. Who are you? Where are you? And what are you doing? So I put 3 people there. So I give them a thing. I say, okay, what's your issue? Then they'll say, oh, my husband cheated on me and I, have to leave him. So I go, okay, so you're the husband, you're the wife cheating, and you're the mistress or whatever. So you're the overthinker, you're the, egotist, and you're the overthinker. And then they improvise a scene, and then I switch roles. And then each of them play 2 or 3 different imposters with the same scenario. Then the person whose issue that is, they're cracking up at the end saying, oh my God, I reacted like this, or I did this, or I did that. Or they have tools where they see it from a completely different vantage point, not just I'm the victim. It's like, oh, where did I contribute? And how can I move forward with or without this person? And it's just gives such an insight. There was somebody who was on my stage that I pulled who was always a backup singer for huge bands, from Peter Frampton on, Rod Stewart, everybody. And he said, I've never sang by myself and I want to start a solo career, but I'm petrified. And he always sings with his guitar and all that stuff, but he's never written his own songs, always cover tunes. So he said, I wrote a couple of songs, but I've never sang them live. And I said, sing it live now. And he said, there's no way. So I did an exercise with him, held his hands, and I gazed for 3 minutes. That's how I usually start something, and connected and bonded. And I said, now you're going to stand up and do this. And he did. He blew everybody away. I mean, it was a standing ovation. This guy was brilliant, and he had no idea how good he was. He just cried and cried saying, oh my God, I'm 46. And this is the first time I've sang alone, and just by my pushing him, but I couldn't have pushed him, but I could talk to his imposters, because I said, your imposters are holding you back. You're great. And I had a discussion with his imposters. Hey guys, what's going on? Then him talking from that perspective, we could get to a point where they agreed to allow him to sing, which is so weird. And it's this whole thing, but that's how it happened. But if I was just doing therapy with him, it would have never happened. So yeah.
So interesting. It's so interesting.
Yeah. And it's super fun. And because you watch people go, oh my God, and change right before your eyes. People go, oh my God, in 5 minutes, I just saw this person shift from this to this. I've never seen this before. If you think about it, all the great sages, they tell us that meaningful change starts from within. So that's what we're here to do. We're trying to discover our meaningful change. And that's what inspired my docuseries that I just finished. One is with master teachers and one is with encounters with master healers. And I have 10 of each, but I worked with a lot more. We just couldn't fit it into the documentary. And working with these people going, how did you get in touch with your authentic soul? How did you shift your life from making it work for you and not working for you? What were your aha moments? And getting healing treatments done that most people don't know about, like ayahuasca. What is that like? So you could see me actually getting it done, or past life regression, or going to see your Akashic Records, which is supposed to be a memory of your whole life up in like a filing cabinet in the sky. Whether I believe or not believe, who knows, but people are out there doing it and changing lives. So I said, let me be the guinea pig to show people that. And I don't know if you've heard of Howard Thurman. He says there's something in everyone that waits and listens for the sound of your genuine in yourself. So it's the only true guide you'll ever have. And if you can't hear it, you will all your life spend your days on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. And we don't want that, because you'll never be happy. You could search for happiness in bars and brothels and ashrams, in different communities, or drugs, but you're never going to find it until you find your inner strings and you pull them yourself. You could hear your inner soul speak.
Yeah. So with finding your inner soul, what would you say to the audience to help them down that journey and that path of like self-discovery and like, okay, I don't want to be on someone else's strings my whole life. So we need to do something with, you've given us great tips on like how to make a deal with our imposters and to figure out who they are. And did you say you named yours?
Yes.
You named your imposters. I like that. I'm going to have to take that.
Because when you name it, it makes them real.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God, my head, I have all these negative thoughts, or I can't sleep. My brain won't turn off. When you name it and go, oh, that's Sam, or that's Sally, or that's whatever. You start going, okay, like I did this with my husband. We were having, challenges in our relationship. So we named each other, one of our imposters were our psychologist. I called him Doctor, and his name Lee, and he called me Dr. Haisha. And when we needed to speak to each other, because we couldn't hear each other, it's no, where are you? No, you're wrong, you're wrong. So once we did that, we said, okay. And situation with your therapist is confidential. So when he talked to me, Dr. Haisha was not allowed to share this information with Lisa. And when I talked to him, he was not allowed to share the information with Lee. So I would call him or say, I want to set up a meeting in person. Then he'd say, okay. And I'd say, this is what he's doing. And I don't like this because of this. And I don't know how to share this with him because he'll just go into, a rage. He'll freak out. And I've been trying forever. Then he's like, oh, what he's thinking is this. And he could think clearly because it's not him being triggered. And he's sharing like a friend, and he shares how to get to him and what to do. He'll call me and say, I need to talk to Haisha. This is what's going on. And then once we talk again, we're like, oh, hey, how's it going? And we speak the language of the other person and what they need to hear and feel in order to even be open up to possibilities. And I can't tell you how much that helped our relationship.
Actually, very interesting.
Yeah.
And also your husband would do it. As you're saying this, I'm like, I don't know if I could ever get my husband on board with this. He is so funny when it comes to like any kind of energy thing or ego or whatever, he's like, oh, I don't know if I believe in that, but your husband's on board. He's like, he's playing the role. I love it.
Yeah.
So with moving forward, we talked about like true wealth as a state of mind, and you don't want to be tied to other people's strings. You want to create your own life and be able to feel whole here. How have you been able to help people get there, down that path of like self-discovery and love?
Through private sessions and through my group workshops or Zoom workshops, we work on what I was sharing with you earlier about these different exercises about finding, and I help people through this and help them do it, but finding where their wounds started, how many wounds they have, how many different issues, who called it, then naming that imposter for each one. Okay. And then finding different ways, my husband and I had different ones for different areas. Like he was always on his computer, work, then came on his computer. So I called him Einstein, that imposter. So when Einstein would appear, I'd say, oh, Einstein's there. I'm not coming over. I'm not available. I don't want to be with him tonight. I want to be with, and we name all these other ones. So, he would name me Geisha Haisha or, whatever, Haisha Face, which Haisha Face is fun. And Geisha Haisha is just there to serve him, doesn't talk much. He just wants silence. So just make him dinner, whatever. Here you go, and kind of leave him alone, but he wants me in the same room. Maybe massage his feet, whatever. So it's different. So you go, which person is available? And then when you know that before you get together, and we had like 10 of them for each of us. If you know that before you get together, you'll know how to work with the other person and go, oh, this is their space they're in. You could honor it or not. You say, I don't want to see you tonight, or you'll just do your own thing or go out with your friends or go in your room, whatever it is. So, but you get along then, because then you're going, oh, I had my needs met. Now I want to help the other person get their needs met. So I take people through a series of exercises. And in live, it's really great because you get to really explore on stage and do these exercises, the who, what, where with other people. And it's engaging, it's hilarious. And then you don't take yourself seriously, and everyone is piggybacking off you. And then they really get some huge benefit from you too. And right. Yeah, so you're learning whether you're on stage in the hot seat or off. But everyone's volunteering. First, it's hard to get a few people. And then once a few people, everyone's like, I want to do it because they want what I say, your soul blazed. Do you want to get your soul blazed? Because it really, once you participate and engage it, then you're committed. You're doing the work instead of being a passive viewer. But even a passive viewer could gain from watching someone go through the process.
Yeah.
Also, 35 years old, we have memorized select behaviors and attitudes and emotional reactions to stuff in life. They're associative memories, basically. And these conditioned responses are such a part of you that some people who are more advanced, who have done a lot of work, could, get fixed, whatever, in a few sessions. But other people, myself included, and it's an ongoing process. You don't just do a weekend workshop or a week workshop and go, oh my God, I'm fixed. It's an ongoing thing. So that's why I'm creating the soul blazing family. So every Thursday for an hour and a half, I'm going to be connecting with people, because it's just staying in the energy. And then this new issue came up. Now this issue came up this time because we're always being slammed with issues. Anytime I think, oh, that challenge is done, I'm good. It's like,
Right.
oh, the universe says, oh, you're ready for another big one. Let's really test you. Here's this. And it's like, no. And then it's just constantly coming. I feel it's constantly coming at me. But from the outside, people are going, oh my God, you're so lucky. You've got this and you've got that, and you know what you want to do in life, and you're doing well, and you've got this is work, everything on the outside, everything's working really well. But people don't see the major challenges that are coming at me constantly that I have to deal with. Sometimes I deal with them well, sometimes not so well, but I do the work. I go, okay, here's this. How do I handle this in a soulful situation? What does my soul want? Don't react, but respond. And how do you respond? Because that makes the world of difference in any relationship you have. And at the end of the day, the end result's probably going to be the same. Whatever you're afraid of, it's probably going to happen. Like, oh, if I'm going to get fired, let me try to fight my way out of it. Or this person did something to me at my job. You could fight them, but if the damage is done, it's done. The relationship either ended or it didn't. So to fight for an hour and a half or a year, 2 years, hold grudges, it doesn't work. That's what I was just dealing with someone earlier this morning on a call. You have to let that go and say, that's done. Don't try to fight for that relationship because it's over. Too much damage has been done, but you could still love them. And it all comes down to, when you say, what can you do? I think the 3 keys are, first of all, learning to love yourself. So being present in the moment, then seeing what the issue is, doing a radical self-forgiveness on it. I forgive myself for judging myself as, and then do a new affirmation that will honor whatever the issue is of who you want to step into being. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, when he came here, he was just Arnold, this, kind of odd looking built person with an accent. And he came to America saying he wants to be the number one, bodybuilding champion. He wants to be the number 1 box office star, and he wanted to marry a Kennedy and be in politics. And he came here and achieved all 3, governor of California. And whether you like him or not is not the point, but he had the mindset, and he said, I'm going to step into that. So when he came here, he started telling people, do you want my autograph? I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm going to be huge one day, or I am huge. I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger. You want to know who I am? And Tony Robbins, I think, did the same thing. I'm Tony Robbins. And so when you step into, I don't like this word, but I'm somebody special and you need to know me because I could help your life. But if you step into that saying, I am gifted, because we're all gifted, and not go, oh, I'm ashamed to say that. There's a way of gloating, and there's a way of doing it with class, of I'm here to serve, not here to get. And I've had people who wanted to learn soul blazing, because I opened it up to teaching for a while, which I stopped temporarily because I was getting so many people and it was wasting my time saying, how do I make $1 million? Or how much money do you make doing it? I'm like, it's not about the money. Being a life coach is not about the money. It's about a calling, and it's a service. And if you could serve your clients, then the money comes, but it has to come from a truly authentic place, which is sometimes challenging to come from if you're a new person saying, I'm broke, I don't know what to do, I just want to be a life coach. And a lot of these people had none of the areas of their life even worked out. They were in their 30s or 40s, still living at home, broke and debt, broken relationships. I'm like, you're not ready to be a coach. You've got to have all this in alignment. We'll all always have issues. None of us are going to be perfect. So you don't wait for perfection to do something, but you got to at least be on the journey and have a few things working and have your mindset of, I want to do this career regardless of what it, even to be an artist, to be a painter, to be, a trash man. I want to help people. I want to help the environment. I just got to make a living. Even if that's true, you got to say, what in this service am I doing? Can I find joy or a seed of happiness, or how am I contributing to the world instead of poor me, I'm a victim, look what I'm doing, or I'm not making enough. People go, well, how much can I charge right out the gate? It's like, no, wrong answer. You're not right for soul blazing. Go to somebody else. Somebody else will take your money. I don't want your money, because it's my brand, and I can't, cheapen the brand by letting every person come in and say, oh, they were trained with me, and give them all the material, because
Yeah.
they have to have worked on themselves.
No, I appreciate that. And it is your brand, and it's something that's important when you're trying to actually touch people on a level that
Yeah.
not just about the money, like true
Yes.
wealth coming from within and loving people and all those good things.
Yes.
So, um, do you have one thing that you could share with the audience, like one little nugget of wisdom as we close? And also, guys, she's talked about a lot of her programs. She has like so many awesome things going on, and all those links are on the Facebook group as well as in your email. So if you need those, make sure, or yeah, if you want to be connected to Lisa, make sure that you check those out. But okay, so in wrapping up, what is like one last little nugget of wisdom you could give our audience?
Well, Joe Dispenza talks about getting in the habit of being yourself. And what does that mean? Who is yourself? That's what soul blazing does. It helps you, like carve out like a sculpture, take away all the fat to get to the real you. Here's a chunk of clay. So we carve away until we find you. And to be yourself, you really have to, again, do the inner work. And the best way, if you want me to give you one nugget, even though I think I gave quite a few in this, but the best way,
Yeah.
morning. If you don't win your morning, you don't win your day. And the morning I try to do mind, body, heart, soul, which is at the heart of everything I do. It's the heart of soul blazing, my documentaries, my webinar. If you do something for your mind, your body, your heart, and your soul before you get out of bed or before you leave your bedroom, I always like make my bed. I do a little prayer, I read a book. I have, right here, I have Krishna Das's Chance of a Lifetime, but it's a different book all the time. I read a passage, just open it up and go like that. So instead of looking at the news and all that, I put in good stuff. How do I enrich my day? What's positive? And then sometimes I will write my dream down, because that's the soul. What am I thinking? What am I dreaming? If I remember it, I write that down. So I journal, write my dream down. I do 3 gratitudes. What am I grateful for? Even if it's just, I woke up this morning, I have blankets over me, I have a bed to sleep in, whatever it is, there's something to be grateful for. And then I read a passage, and then I exercise, even if it's 1 minute, just because it's the habit of being yourself. What Arnold was doing, stepping into the new you. Even if you just do 30 seconds of stretches, just touch your toes twice, at least you're doing something, and that's creating the habit of this is the new me. So the whole morning routine could take you 5 minutes, or it could take you an hour, which I do sometimes, because I'll do a 20-minute or 30-minute yoga class on YouTube or on myself, or go for a 2-mile walk, then whatever it is. But the minimum, if I don't have time, and the only time I don't have time is if I'm out late for something and I end up going to bed at 1 or 2, and I have something early in the morning that was scheduled or whatever at 7. So I'm going, oh, I don't want just 3 hours sleep. Let me get in that extra hour or whatever. So I go, okay, I have 5 minutes today. But sometimes later in the day, I'll then do the work, like go for the walk in the evening, or I'll go, do something. But I get those in, even if it's 5 minutes in the morning, because it's training yourself. I love you, Lisa. You matter to me. And I love you, and I'm going to allow other people to love you. I'm going to let other people in. And I have my inner connection of friends that I realized when I did this exercise, wow, I give all my attention and love to people who don't really matter, and not to the people who do matter and who would be by my bed at the end of the day. So really going, what can I do for each of these people daily? How can I contribute to their life, and make that a priority? And then still do the networking and have your other friends, your fun friends and your colleagues, but focusing on people who matter and focusing on you first thing in the morning. How do I fill my brain with, I'm going to cease this day. This is my goal for the day. I usually have a word for the day. And this is I've got to get these tasks done, but I'm going to do it with this energy. And this energy is the new person I'm stepping into.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, that was even more nuggets than just one. That was a lot of good. That was a lot of good information. Thank you so much for being on the summit with us. I really feel honored to have you here. And as you guys see, she has just a wealth of knowledge, and she has done a lot of good in the world. So thanks again for being part of the summit. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
We'll see you. Bye.
Thank you so much.